If you're interested in dropping fat, building strength, boosting your energy without killing yourself in the gym and giving up your weekends, then you've come to the right show. In this episode, I'm breaking down my updated longevity plan, my exact training, nutrition, biohacking tools I'm using right now, and stuff I'll see in the future. I'll share how I've cut my workouts down to 30-minute strength training sessions a week and other activities I've synergized that get me to a very athletic body. If you're interested in hearing my game plan to get to single digit body fat with doing next to nothing, then stick around. So before we start, I wanted to show you my SKOOL community I'm always talking about. This is where I'm answering people's questions. We're brainstorming, doing coffee chats. I'll be starting a Q&A on Tuesday or Thursday where I'm giving out free personal training. First come, first serve. This is the platform I'm trying to grow. This is where I want everyone to join who's over 40, looking at getting overall health, a lean body, and possibly some low-level biohacking. If you're at all interested, get in while you can. Other than that, let's get on with the episode. All right, so I wanted to do this recap of what I've done in the past 6 months, year, what I'm trying to do now. And I'm always doing different biohacking strategies, whether it's supplements or training, and thought it'd be fun to give you an insight of what I'm looking into and also with my podcast and future guests. But for those of you who don't know, I focus a lot of my workouts under time under tension ever since turning 40 years old, seeing how much harder is those hour and a half long, 2 hour long workouts at the gym 5 days a week to keep that athletic looking body and what it did to my joints, my spine. Not only that, but just having the energy and desire to keep doing this. So I started living the life of working smarter, not harder, and cut all my weights down, start doing stuff more time under tension, like I just said, taking 5 to 10 seconds to complete one rep of any type of exercise. And when you're suffering like that, you can cut the weight by half, at least half. And for my diet, I like doing a Monday through Friday, clean as I can. Weekends are for social time. I'll never give that up. So I have to keep working around my system. So currently I do 3 days a week at the gym, half-hour sessions, very effective and efficient, as I like to say. I basically do circuit training. I'll do an exercise, move on to the next one, switching between legs, chest, and back. And then 1 day a week, I do my HIIT training on my rebounder, where I'm just running in place or doing ballistic push-ups and to keep the heart rate up. 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off rest. Go as long as you can. I typically do 10 to 15 minutes because it's so brutal. And I'll wear an oxygen-deprivation mask. And so basically with that, this is probably the best I'm able to get at my age with this reduced plan of 3 days a week working out, what I just said. And this is 186, probably around 12% body fat. And like I said, I know how to get single digit body fat by destroying your body 6 days a week. And I just don't want to do it anymore. This is so much easier, more fun, long lasting. For me to get this took no effort at all. And I'm constantly trying to get that next edge, whether it be a supplement, switching up my diet, or just more fasting. So I'm at a stall point here with my current program, unless I'm willing to bump up the workouts, cut the diet more, which is not a great idea, or cut the social life, which I'm not going to do. I wanted to showcase what I'm looking at and thinking about. So looking at my Whoop device, I still think having some kind of fitness tracker is the only way to keep this biohacking alive over 40. If you're not using this technology, you are just shooting in the dark. That's why you're never getting any results. And as simple as how much are you burning? How much are you eating? Everything else can be said for biohacking and having good blood work, but for just aesthetic purposes, this is what we're looking at. So I've actually been on a decline of burning calories. My average was a lot higher than this. In this month, 2,300 calories has been my average. And the weekends are the worst. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my gym days spike me up a little bit. And as you can see right here, this is probably August 7th or something like that, where it was a normal gym day. I did a normal hike for 2 miles with a weight vest. And I was actually barbecuing that day for my family and some friends. So I was hustling and bustling with getting everything prepped and ready. It didn't feel like a lot of exercise, but I'm telling you, when you're stressed out, this will show and you start burning more calories. That's not to say all stress is good all the time, but it does equate to burning more calories. Over a 6-month period, my monthly averages, as you can see, I was climbing 2,600, 2,700, held that for good 2 months. And then now I've shot back down. And that's basically just because of the lack of rebounding, lack of wearing my weight vests and going up the hill hikes behind my house. I'm doing a little bit easier stuff. And that's fine because everything I do, I match it to what my Whoop is doing for calories. And I just eat less or eat more depending on the day. So that's really the core, I think, for every over 40-year-old is to get one of these, start tracking your food. If you don't want to do it every day, just have an idea of what you're doing. If you want to get a little more aggressive with it, then cut your calories a little lower than you would think, and you'll lose weight faster. The only problem is you'll start feeling more tired. Your hormones might get out of whack. I was on a rapid weight loss plan of 1,500 calories Monday through Friday so I could have fun on the weekends. The problem is once you get down too low, your body has no more fat to give. Thus, your hormones start getting out of whack. My libido dropped. My face looked a little more gaunt. So I had to up the calories and then play a little bit nicer on the weekends. So that's where I'm at right now, and why I'm saying that my current status is 186 is, with my lifestyle, the best I can do, unless I want to add something else in. This is what I've been working on, get me to the next stage without having to increase my workouts or diet harder. And that's basically working on my gut health. If you've been listening to me, you know that I've done gut health tests before, fixed all these different allergies, a lot of food allergies that were giving me problems. I was just so sold on getting my microbiome in check. I did this test recently through Tiny Health, which, I mean, this company's got everything going for them. The most advanced reporting. They call it like their AI shotgun sequencing for all the different bacteria strains and the way they put these reports out. And it's light years beyond the last gut health I did. So let's just say that. But after the last test I did, I had already done a gut health a year ago, took some supplements, fixed a lot of stuff, and lo and behold, I take this score, and it's one of the highest scores they've seen in a while. My own family is around the 60s, which they say is pretty much every American right now. I got an 83 out of 100, and when I started working on some of this stuff, it's having me consider a very specific probiotic, not just some random CVS probiotic you get from the store. There's so many different strains of bacteria. You need to know which ones you're deficient or need more of. And then I also needed a lot more starch in my diet, which is true because I do a little bit more keto. And then they just give you suggestions of food to fix those problems over time, or supplements to do it a little bit faster. From using ChatGPT and actually talking to Tiny Health, I got my consultation. It seems like food is still the best way. It doesn't take that much longer to fix some of these issues. So I created this document, put it on my fridge, and it's basically for myself, my wife, and my daughter. And it's very individualistic, but it's just an easy way to show all three of us on one page, slap it right on the fridge. Everyone's holding themselves accountable. And basically there's different spices that can help fix some of the issues with me, different supplements. And I did get this one out of all these different groups, which you would have to go back to my report and see what each group was, have names for everything. It's just, even for me, a lot of it's right over the head. I just gave it numbers, group 1 through 6. And these are the different foods that will fix that bacteria strain, sealing up your gut, or just overall microbiome health. By the way, a lot of these are the ones that I would agree to eat. They gave more options. It's just I would never buy those kind of foods, and I picked the ones I wanted. And then at the bottom, it's just everyone should be eating fermented veggies. Miso soup is a real good probiotic. And then some of these other miscellaneouses that were not helping my red alert groups, but they were close to overall health foods. My wife has got put on a Mediterranean style diet. My daughter's was hard because she's a picky eater. And we ended up getting some of this stuff called natto, which is like a soybean meal powder or something or other. You can't even find it at stores. So besides staying on my routine of 3 days a week at the gym, 1 day high intensity, every day's potential walking with or without a weight vest, watching my Whoop. I use Chronometer for my nutrition tracking. Sometimes I do it, some days I don't. I pretty much know how many calories I'm eating. And sometimes it's not in a deficit, so then I have to adjust for the next couple days. All the gut health stuff I just showed you. So working all this, and I love using ChatGPT. I pay for the $20 pro version. It just gives me such good information, and I always fact check it. Don't let it be a yes man, and give it two sides of the coin and let it pick what it thinks. If it's just a way for me to get some self-improvement, self-help, see if I'm going in the wrong direction. But this was my longevity optimized movement plan. What can I do to crank this up a little bit? Basically, strength training, more time under tension. We're still going to do the 3 times a week. I don't know why I put 2 miles in there, but it's 3 times a week. Optimizing bone density, mitochondrial turnover, insulin sensitivity. Zone 2 weighted vest walks now. 2 miles is what I'm increasing to instead of the mile and a half I was doing. And I'm committing to 6 times a week, which is good. Gets me out in the sun, get that aerobic base, fat metabolism, nervous system recovery. And then my HIIT rebounder. I started getting a little relaxed on this. And that's with my weighted vest, dumbbells in my hands, and a mask. Let me show you. I did this YouTube short of how I started doing my HIIT training with the weight vest. It's just a 10-pound weight vest, and I go through the stuff of adding the TheraBand above my knees and how many extra calories I started burning. When I made this video, I was burning so many calories, but the more you do something, the less you start burning because your body becomes more efficient at it. Now I'm burning like 200 calories max. But as you can see, just moving, jumping, adding in the weights. I've got the oxygen deprivation mask. I go 30 seconds on as fast as I can and then taking that 30-second break. So coming back to my longevity plan, once a week doing an incline ruck walk with a weighted vest of my heavier one, 20-pounder. And I'm going up the hill right behind my house. It is brutal. Also trying to boost my mitochondrial count by stressing the system. And I used to do this a lot, but fell off. So this is getting me back on track to see, can this take me all the way to 180 pounds, which is what I need to get like single digit body fat without having to do more. And so twice a week on Tuesday and Thursday, doing more mobility, core work, physical therapy exercises, really going after injury prevention, breathing while doing, and then added in isometric finishers. My parents got this power plate, which vibrates left and right, forward and back, up and down, creating that G-force on your body. A lot of physical therapists love this for people with osteoporosis. It's probably one of the best things you can to get a lymphatic drain, build up that bone density, and thus do stuff more time under tension without having to slow things down. That's what I'm doing. Pretty much as a finisher, when I come home from my workout, those 3 days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, finish on that power plate to get some of those benefits and just to give me an extra boost. Other than that, some of the other things I put on there is focusing on nasal breathing while you walk, bending your knees. That's every day. Just helps you build up a CO2 tolerance, your parasympathetic tone, calming your vagus nerve down, which calms overall stress and cortisol. And then I put in there seasonally, I do cold plunges, but I don't want to do this all year and go find a cold dunk tank. So I'll use the pools I have access to now when they're freezing cold in the winter. And by the time they warm up, move on to something else. I figure at least I'm getting something for that portion of the year for my longevity. Gaming while rebounding. So one of the best things I've discovered is my little mini trampoline rebounder. While you're playing video games and running on it, jumping on it, it's very easy to do. Somehow it always centers you back in the middle because there's always that fear if you're on a treadmill, the screen goes left to right, throws you off balance, and you end up falling off the treadmill. This isn't happening with my rebounder. So anytime you play video games, it needs to be downstairs on the rebounder. So that's my game plan, and just some honorable mentions of new supplements I'm trying right now. This one, Encha Matcha, it's basically just Japanese grade, first harvest matcha green tea. The purpose of using this is on my blood work, my cholesterol's always still up there. The new wave of thinking is for someone who's more keto, you're gonna have more lipids and fats running through your veins, which will show up as more cholesterol on your blood work. And as long as your good cholesterol is high, your bad cholesterol is low, your triglycerides are low, the theory is you're looking real good. However, let's, see if we can bring that down a little bit for my doctor. One of the compounds in matcha green tea is a compound called EGCG, and it seems to be the highest in Japanese first harvest green tea. I just picked one that had good reviews. It's a powerful antioxidant that seems to have heart health properties, and one of those being lowering cholesterol. So that's not only adding another antioxidant, which is just good for overall health, but having one specific to targeting something that I need, which could potentially be lowering my cholesterol. And then lastly, the one that I'm excited about right now is this concrete creatine HCl, not monohydrate. Of all the times I've done monohydrate in my life, yes, it does its job. The strength gains are insane, although they quickly go away once you stop taking it. But to try to break through plateaus of whatever you're trying to do, one of the best supplements out there. I recently had the owner of this concrete creatine HCl come on, tell me how much better the HCl is than monohydrate, specifically for the problems I was having. Water bloating and GI issues. The reason for that is the monohydrate's bioavailability is not the greatest, which is why you always need a loading phase and a higher amount versus this HCl. It's a different type of creatine that's more highly bioavailable, no bloating, only the water retention in your muscles where you want them, and so far no GI issues, and less milligrams. So it's almost like a third less milligrams you would take in monohydrate that you would take with the HCl. So real excited about this, and not only for the strength gains, but after talking to the founder of this concrete, it's basically, think about creatine as ADP recycler. So if ATP is, how our body runs on energy, we get that through phosphate system from sugar, and then also from fat burning using fat with oxygen to create this ATP. In a nutshell, it basically just means that you're recycling the waste from ATP and putting it back as ATP to use again and faster. So real excited about that. And it's not just for muscle support, it's also for organ support, heart support, brain support. So you start hearing all that cognitive benefits that's going on in social media because of creatine. It's true because of that reason. It's just recycling energy, and your whole body is using this energy, not just your muscle. So that's a recap of what I've been doing for the last 6 months, readjusting my program. There's more into longevity. We have a ton more stuff dedicated to longevity, such as that molecule C60, clearing out senescent cells, using NAD or NR-IV, using red light therapy, and all of these. I have my own little chat GPT section for just those topics. And basically when it comes down to it, it's just time and money, right? I don't have time to even mess with those since I'm messing with other products, trying to prove my system of being over 40 with a social life and still being single digit body fat. Longevity will be my next phase. For right now, working with EGCG and creatine have more use for me right now. And with all the podcasting I do, all these different experts that come on my show, God only knows what I get into next. So anyways, thanks for listening. And as always, check out my SKOOL page. It's where I'm spending my time helping people and doing coffee chats as well as office hours. If you're interested in the Whoop, a link for that is in the show notes. And both of us get a little discount too. I'll catch you on the next one.